So my effect is called MerJaz, which is a mixture of the word merge and my initials, so you get MerJaz. The question I set out to answer with this project was, can we kind of optimally merge two audio files together? So let's say you're in your DAW and you've got these two audio files and you think maybe one needs to merge into the other one. There'd just be a right-click option here to somehow do that for you. So it would be a post-processing kind of offline effect. So this is the block diagram of how it works. So we've got the two audio input files here, which both go through the constant Q transform. And using these two transforms, we can compute the optimal match points, which is basically done just by multiplying them together in a fancy way to see at what point do they look the most similar to each other. But then when we do the actual merge, we take the short-time Fourier transform of each of the audio input signals, and then having computed the optimal match points, we merge them together at those points, and then we can inverse short-time Fourier transform to get back to audio. Right, so how do we actually compute how to stitch and merge these two spectrograms together? I'm going to use Excel because we can easily manipulate blocks. So let's say this is the window from the first spectrogram, which we thought optimally matched with the window from the second spectrogram. We've got frequency here and got time here, and we're going to create this stitched together spectrogram consisting of the first and the second. And the way we do this is we look at each frequency bin individually. And so let's take the top one. We take the magnitude of that value and take away the magnitude of that value. We take the magnitude of that value, take away the magnitude of that value, and we do this for all the rest of them in that frequency bin. We ask which of those differences was the smallest. And let's, for example's sake, say that that was where the smallest difference occurred in the magnitudes. That's going to be the place where we flip from the first spectrogram to the second spectrogram. So the new spectrogram, the top frequency row, is going to consist of these two values and then these four values there. And in that way we switch from the first spectrogram to the second spectrogram with minimal, let's say, discontinuity in the magnitudes of either spectrogram. So that's one way we can do it, which is using the magnitudes, but we could also ask, well, where is the phase at a minimum difference between the two spectrograms for each bin? Equally, we could ask, where is the complex value at a minimum distance between the two? And the final way I implemented was taking the magnitudes and phases independently of each other. So maybe this is where the magnitude flipped over, and that's where we put the magnitudes into the new spectrogram. But maybe the phase flipped at a different place, and so we might have the phase flipping at that point there, in which case we take the first four phases from spectrogram 1 and the phases here from spectrogram 2 and recompute a complex value from the combinations of those mixtures of magnitudes and phases. So I wrote it in Python, as MATLAB doesn't really have a way for you to integrate an offline processing effect into a DAW. So it's as a Jupyter Notebook for now. I did try and make it into a Python app, but it wouldn't compile properly, unfortunately. So the options we've got are, what files do you want to merge together? What technique do you want to use of those four I described to merge them together? How long do you want the merge to last? So what's the width of those spectrogram windows we're using? And then what size FFT are we going to use to do each short-time Fourier transform? So that gives us, the higher that is, the more frequency resolution we've got, which you may or may not want. And then it plots out the spectrograms at the bottom. So these are the ones we're merging, and then that's what the merged spectrogram looks like. It will need to be in a folder folder called sound inputs in the same directory as the node.